Hi, Kelly.
Hi, how are y'all doing today?
Great.
Great. We
I like
need to
that
shoot a
wallpaper.
horror movie in your, yeah, well, we're all looking at each other's backgrounds. We have to shoot a movie right there against that wall. It's so great.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me first start me say I'm a fan, big fan. Y'all have
Thanks.
some great films. Um, but usually they have like a darker, more foreboding feel to them. The new one feels a little different. Can you tell me about that?
It sure is different. Yeah, with this one, we had met the producers doing the last drive-in, and they have a history with trauma, and they wanted to know what we were cooking up, and we were like, well, we've got this idea, but we don't know how we could really do it. And next thing you know, we're in Serbia shooting this film. So this was a fun opportunity to write something with a different kind of vibe. We wanted something a little like mutinous and funny, with a little commentary for those who want it. But definitely we were shooting for something that had a sense of humor.
Right. And with Hellhole, there is definitely that. Um, those tentacles, let me tell you.
And where they go.
Yeah, there's that. Um, so what exactly went into designing this gnarly little creature?
That's Todd Masters, the great monster maker. And we were lucky enough that Matt Mangiarides found him. Matt's one of the producers, and not found him, but asked him if he would do this with us. And he graciously said yes. And he designed that monster mostly with Toby, because Toby had ideas. She really had ideas of what she wanted the monster to look like. I just knew that it needed to be something that could slip in and out of men, and it will. So that was fun. And Todd was, I say that he's a great artist, but really what he is a great human being that you want to be standing next to when you're making a movie.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so tell us about the story. How did it come to be?
Well, John and Z, we were like driving from Montana up through Alberta and Yukon all the way to Alaska. I had to go back to Calgary for something, but I'd set up this awesome road trip. And fortunately, I didn't get to go, but John and Zelda did. And they called me and they're like, oh my God, you're not going to believe these like oil fields we're going through.
Yeah, we went through just like it seemed like thousands of miles, but obviously it was only hundreds of man camps because they have a huge fracking oil industry up there. And so when Zelda and I were driving, as we always do wherever we are, we were like, what kind of horror movie would we make if we had to make one here? And so we came up with it would be great if a man camp nailed a monster down underground and all the mayhem that would ensue. And so it was originally written for Canada, but the producers had a lot of connections over in Serbia and Albania, and they said, could we do this in Serbia? So Toby rewrote the script for it to take place in Serbia.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you chose a great location because I mean, it looks like it fits.
Yes.
And I mean, it's so different from what we get a lot of the time. When it comes to creature features, we don't get a lot of these exotic, it's going to take over man kind of thing. And especially when it pops out of a man, but but it was great. And I like that there was a female in the lead.
Thank you.
And it felt good. So what was shooting like? And since you had to travel all the way to Australia.
It was fast. We had to do it in a certain number of days. And luckily we had a crew of Serbians that were all very good humored. And we all just worked real fast to get these tentacles in and out of, I think, 9 people. And so that was the goal. And it was quite fun. It was, I think we love making movies, but we also love traveling. And one of the things that was great about this job was we got to live in a country, Serbia, that we would never otherwise live in. And even if we traveled there on vacation, we would still be Americans that were completely isolated out of the culture and out of the people. But when we go and make a horror movie there, we're sitting there and we're all eating bread together and soup and cabbage, and you're living with the Serbians. And that's a really lucky experience that we love.
What was the most challenging aspect of filming Hellhole?
It was cold, but in a way, John and I love shooting in the cold because people act better. Like they just want to get it done and they become very raw. They can't like rely upon their comfort. And it also makes great breath. You know, sometimes you have to pay people to make those special effects. This was very authentic and real. The language wasn't really a barrier because a lot of people spoke English, and it kind of was good to be around, to be the minority, to be honest. Like we were there during Christmas, so it was fun when everyone had that day off, but then they come back, we got to kind of be on the periphery of like Christmas in another country. So what do you think was the hardest?
I don't think it was hard. I think it was actually like we're used to working alone, and this was, I would just say, easier. But it's not hard or easy. Like we love making movies. So like when we're out in the cold and it's snowing and our fingers are half frozen off, we are still having fun. So I would say that this was actually kind of easy because we're used to the cold. I think maybe some of the crew might have been a hell of a lot colder than us, but we're from the cold, so it was just fun. That's really my answer.
I'll tell you something that was hard. The day that someone disappears into a lake and something happens. So he was a stuntman, and he kept filling up, that suit kept filling up like a big bubble, you know?
Yeah.
So he kept going bloop to the top of the water. They had to find a way to like weigh him down with weights so he could stay under long enough, holding his breath for the shit to hit the fan.
We were like, the orange buoy trick just isn't gonna sell.
It was great. That was a great scene. You know, the little speech right before it too was very, you know, about the message or tell my, you know, I like that.
Thank you for mentioning
Yeah.
that. I love that scene. I love that actor. So thank you.
And he had just gone through a really sad family moment, and it's written on his face. And he wrote us later and said, "Hey, thanks. I got to verbalize a lot of feelings in that role." And he was a sweet man.
Right. So, when will people be able to watch this movie? Hellhole.
August 23rd is coming out on Shudder. And then I think a month later, maybe in September, I think it's coming out on all the other platforms, you know, like for video on demand.
Okay, yeah, right before my birthday. So yeah.
Sweet.
Right on.
But and you know, talking earlier about all your movies, which definitely have their own unique kind of feel. How do you deal with working as a family that makes movies?
It's fun. That's how we all started making movies together. Zelda was 6, Lulu was 11, and when we made our first movie, so we all learned the ropes together. It was all of our dreams all at once. You know, the girls wanted to be actors, and then after our first movie, we kept going, and everybody found their way inside the filmmaking process. And so now it's really just become a part of our lives, and each one of us recognizes that it's very lucky and it's very fun. So it's really not difficult. And people get to like opt in or opt out. Like Zelda opted out of Hellhole, like because Zelda was like, I want to go to college. I don't want to do a movie this year. And we were like, great. But Lulu was like, yeah, I would like to do something. I'll write it. So, you know, I think we're all very aware of how lucky we are that we get to be friends and do art together. So, right.
Yeah, well, we struggle together where everyone struggles, but we definitely celebrate together as well.
Yeah.
Which is fun to kind of go that spectrum when you work so hard and then you have the reward of a finished film and you get to go around and show it and meet so many people in the process is just an incredible, like, yeah, it's a gift.
And sometimes we get our ass kicked too. And it's fun when you're getting your ass kicked to look across at the stage and see Toby or Lulu standing next to me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, if I'm getting my ass kicked with my daughter,
Still love you.
at least I know I'm going to go home with friends, you know?
Right. Well, that is so amazing. So, I know this one is, just fixing to come out, but do y'all already have your eye on the next?
And our fingers in the blood. Yes. In the theme with your wonderful, luscious background. Yeah, we've got two things cooking. So we'll have two films, on the horizon that are one's already almost done, and we're really excited about them.
Can you tell us anything?
Yeah. One's called Slug, and it's about a man who has a car accident and wakes up from his car accident feeling like he's got a homicidal demon inside of him. And that's a lot of fun. And we got to take a lot of the lessons we learned from Hellhole about practical effects, and we're applying them to that. And then we also have another movie about a young girl who's got a fatal disease. So her and her father go to a witch doctor to try to find a cure. And you know that when you go to a witch doctor to find a cure, you might get the cure, but there's always a price to pay.
Yes, there is. And that definitely, sounds a lot like, some of your previous stuff, which, I love the new stuff. I loved Hellhole. I thought it was fun. And, chuckled when there were certain scenes of things. But, I really like that dark and kind of gritty thing y'all do so well.
Oh, that is beautiful of you to say, because that's what's coming down the pipe, because that's really what we love too. Like this, we really lay the humor out, Hellhole. What we think are dark movies are kind of funny too, but they're funny to a certain type of person, and that person is much like us. And so I think that you'll enjoy what's coming.
Oh, that's great news. That's great news. There is one thing that I have wondered about Hellhole. How did y'all do the exploding scene?
Of
The one by the car.
Yes.
Oh, yes. That was a great, all that's real practical effects, but it's three different filmings of three. So what it is Todd's Monster, where we used animatronics to get the tentacles to kind of freak out. And then Trey filmed some more tentacle and blood action on his own against the green screen. And then I filmed me and a skeleton together. And so Trey put all those three things together so that there's no like digitalness to it. It's like it's all real blood and real gore and real meat.
Well, I like that. And I'm a big fan of practical effects. I'll take them over CG any day of the week. So,
Yeah.
I love that this was, practical, and you can kind of see it when things get to moving around.
Yes.
And I also love that there's that feeling of desperation
Oh,
when
good.
oh shit, this is fixing to happen to me. That way that it's just, you can see it coming, and you start thinking, well, what would you think? What crossed your mind if you knew you were fixing to go pop?
Yeah. And for the woman that you talk about who leads the group, she does some morally questionable things because she knows where others don't, and she makes certain choices.
And we loved playing with the whole idea of, okay, how will men feel being pregnant? And it was funny and it was fun playing one of those characters, which, well, people will see.
Yes, they should see.
Correct.
But I just how did y'all meet? You don't mind me asking.
Rock and roll show.
Yeah, we met at a rock and roll club in New York City in 1996.
I just bought tickets. I was walking in up the stairs to Irving Plaza with my friend, and I turned around and she was walking in with another girl and a guy. And I turned to my friend. I was like, that woman right there. Wow. And he was like, I know her. And so he introduced us. I made a fool of myself, but eventually I caught up.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's
That's
lucky.
Lucky for me, too.
Nah, lucky for me.
Y'all are a trip. Um, so the slug movie, is that going to be another practical effects?
Yes, we've done some like the effects coming out of that are really fun. So we learned some really great things with Hellhole. One, we learned like the application of stop motion effects. So Todd had made Trey a very small little monster so that Trey could do stop motion filming so that we could actually see the monster run and things like that. And we also did a couple little miniature things, which that was also a miniature thing. So we're starting to understand, well, Trey is really starting to understand how to take miniatures and turn them into real life size so that people like us, small filmmakers like us, can do things like have a truck crash or, have a literal man crawl out of somebody's mouth, and all these things. Like you say, you want practical effects. So do we. Like, we want to film them and we want to see them like that because it really isn't fun to see digital. Well, I'm not going to put down digital art, but it's more fun to see the real shit go down. Or
Yeah,
out.
it feels it's more realistic, more, tactile. You feel like, it's actually there instead of, you can pretty much still spot the eye from a mile away. And it's,
Yeah.
the craftsmanship.
Also, Kelly, acting it's a pleasure working with something there in your hands or on your skin or in your hair. We've been having a lot of fun with practical effects on these two new films.
Yes.
And it's kind of a pleasure to be there in the muck.
And we've been lucky to be around pros. So we get to watch people like Todd Masters or the effects crew in Serbia apply makeup and apply scars and blood and all these things and say to ourselves, we could do that too with some grape jelly, some ketchup, and some, chocolate syrup.
It's amazing what you can find in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Right. And you're totally correct. But it's just, I don't know, I think it's the craftsmanship that gets me. Somebody took the time to actually make this thing.
That's right.
And I appreciate that. I do. Okay. Well, since we've talked about Hellhole and the other films, I have one more question. What's your favorite scary movie?
Scary movie?
Oh, that's your answer.
Well, I'm going to go, since we're talking about monsters, I always love Basket Case. It's a movie that always makes me smile and have fun. So in light of Hellhole, I have a great time. It's sleazy as hell too.
I'm gonna have to say my favorite scary movie I love is a movie called The Innocents out of Norway, I think. And to me, it's a perfect horror movie.
And they're so rare these days. They really are. Except, for y'all. Y'all, I've been impressed by all the films I've seen of y'all. And, it's like I said, I like that darkness.
Well,
It
we
just
got
seems
darkness for it. We're gonna
so,
turn out the lights and send you a movie.
I'll watch it. Um, well, I appreciate y'all talking with me so much. And, it was an absolute pleasure. And I can't wait for others to see Hellhole because it's gonna be fun.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Kelly. Thanks, Horror Fuel. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you on the circuit sometime.
All right. Well, y'all have a great day, okay?
You
Peace.
too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Kelly.